This episode of the Boss Rush Podcast is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn more about Boss Rush Media's family of podcasts, head on over to bossrushmedia.com or patreon.com/bossrushmedia. Thanks for your continued support. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Boss Rush Podcast, a great place to play games and be better. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Derrigan. Alongside me, as always, is the PC muscle race himself, LeRon Dawkins.
Hey, what's poppin'?
Hi, LeRon.
Hey, Corey.
How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. I think you guys saw you guys saw the pictures. Besides blowing my back out, on Thanksgiving, I think it was all right. Like, I was in the kitchen all day on my feet, like basically making dinner. Let me rephrase that. My boyfriend and I were in the kitchen all day, like cooking and stuff. But I can say for sure, I can say for sure that I during that entire time, I think I only sat down like once before it was time to sit down and actually eat. So by the going into bedtime that night and waking up the next day, my back was killing me. Yeah,
that sucks.
Gotta do some stretches, dude.
Oh, and also on Wednesdays we wear pink.
Well, that shirt's so tight he can't get it over his head.
Nice.
Sorry, I couldn't do the sexy takeoff, because take off the shirt because I lost my earbuds in the process.
Oh yeah.
Also joining us is the mad pharmacist herself, Stephanie Klimov.
Also, didn't want to show any nipple. You can't do the whole sexy take off the pump cover, on stream.
I was gonna say, can you show man nipples?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well.
I mean, unless it's for the appropriate thing, like if you're showing off, like workout techniques, like if it's athletic videos, or if you just happen to be in like a swimsuit, stuff like that, if it's appropriate, you can show that. But this is not appropriate. Maybe on After Dark it's appropriate, but this is not appropriate right
now. Sure.
But yeah. I do love how what pink does to my complexion, though. I do love it.
Also, here's PK Power, Pat Klein.
I was hoping to say also inappropriate. Here's PK Power.
No, we're all inappropriate. It's fine.
But then I would have said free the nip. So it ruined my complete dialogue.
That's
restart this again.
Yeah, that's inappropriate.
I don't
free
know
the nip.
I don't know if I'd want to free the nip right now though, because it's pretty nippy outside. It's 33 degrees outside.
Then it's gonna help you get the perfect nip.
I know, but it's
cold as hell on the East Coast. It's cold as hell on the East Coast right now.
Or in the words of my former mentor, mentor, he says it's cold as a witch's tit out there.
Speaking of cold, you can cut glass with your tits cut diamonds.
Speaking of nips, a long time ago, my one friend who got some girl pregnant, he was like, "Well, looks like I get to sip the nip," and I'm like, "Oh no, oh no, oh no." Thanks for reminding me of that.
That is a fetish.
Keep that to yourself. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hey, there's our topic for After Dark tonight. Weird fetishes. Tune in.
Oh God. Oh no. Oh man. Everybody else have a good Thanksgiving? Everybody else's holiday good?
I had a Friendsgiving I went to last Wednesday. It was actually pretty good. There was about 14 people and lots of food. So much food that my pies got ignored because they weren't cool enough. I got some Baker Square pies because I can't cook for shit and I would poison people. But other people actually brought homemade desserts. So, my pumpkin pie and apple pie could not compete against an apple crisp and a pumpkin cheesecake.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
understandable.
tough. That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I actually made pies for the first time ever. You know, like actual like whipped up and baked pies. Because usually I make like the no bake stuff. So like chocolate mousse pies and stuff like that. But I actually made a pecan pie. Well, 2 pecan pies and 2 sweet potato pies.
Mm.
And that was the first for me. Like I don't bake a lot. Like I love to cook, but I don't bake because like it's real easy to fuck it up.
I love baking because it's so scientific. It's just a bunch of like precise measurement. Like, that's the dork in me, but you know.
Yeah, no, that's what I love about baking too. Like if you're good in chemistry in school, like you got this. You know,
No, but
yeah,
you're
but
right though.
you
One
never.
small move, you could mess it up. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Mine was all right. It's the usual family thing over my aunts. My parents are out of the country, so I didn't get to spend time with them, which is fine. I'll see them for Christmas. I left the Thanksgiving holiday with physical injuries and ailments. Not only did my child get me sick, but I had to watch him and my partner's son, who they'll never listen to this, so I could just say that that kid's a punk. So that kid, I just know that kid would not shut up unless I did something cool to entertain him for the day. Like he can't just mind himself. So I took them to a skate park because he's obsessed with it, even though he's only 6 and can't do shit. But he thinks he's this cool badass with his razor scooter and do all these he can't do anything. But so he loves skate parks. So I'm like, I'm gonna blow this kid's mind and take him to a skate park. He's having the time of his life. I'm feeling cool because I finally reached to this little stinker where nothing I can say or do impresses him, and this impressed him. So I was very happy with myself. And then I'm not like most adults where I can just stand there and watch kids play. I'm like, well, I'm going to entertain myself too. So I take my son's Razor scooter and I'm like, oh man, I remember back when I was a kid with the Razor scooter. This is fun. So we're actually all having a good time. And then my partner's kids like, do you think this ramp is too high? I'm like, nah, it's fine. Just watch me do it. So I go down the ramp and I go backwards and I slammed onto my ass and I fell several more times onto my elbow, got a big swollen bruise the size of a golf ball on my elbow. I thought I literally broke my sacrum. I think I'm fine now. So lesson learned, cannot do what kids do anymore. So yeah, that was my weekend.
Them kids be
Stephanie,
crazy.
welcome to the Old Fogies Club.
Yes. I was like, I cannot do this. Oh. Anyway, but yeah, and I'm sick too, so it's just, the typical stuffy nose, the deep cough, and the brain fog, and work's kicking my ass like it seems to be kicking everyone's ass this time of year. And it's like, oh, can this all be over?
Oh, it
So,
sucks.
but yeah.
It sucks real bad.
Mm.
Ugh.
You guys should just not have a life like me. That way you don't run into people and you don't get their sicknesses.
You went to a Friendsgiving. Shut up.
Yeah, you have
You went
friends.
to
Shut up.
Yeah, I got sick. I got sick from my child.
Person Friendsgiving. Don't even. Don't have friends. What the? You at least got 13 of them.
Be fair, those are friends of friends.
Friends.
I'd say I had more like
They invited you, so they
Yeah.
feel like they're your friends.
no. My friends invited me, but my friends were the host, and they invited other people.
Well, speaking of friends that we don't have, let's talk about what we've been playing or doing since it's been a long time since we met. I'm going first because I feel like it. So before I get to the games, I bought myself a nice big TV. I bought myself a 65-inch QLED TV and a soundbar.
Nice.
And lights that sync with the picture on the TV, which is also a cool effect.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Was that like a Black Friday thing, or just a purchase that you were gonna make anyway, and were planning?
No, I just am in the process of selling a lot of stuff because we're moving soon, and I use some of that money to buy a TV.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yep. Fill out those big walls in that new house.
We're
Especially
mounting
that
it.
furnished basement.
We're gonna mount it. Gonna put a big old couch, a big old coffee table, sound bar, video games. My only issue though right now is that the Xbox has a sound syncing issue. And I thought it was like maybe the sound bar or my TV, like the way it was hooked up. And I was like looking online. It's been a known issue since like 2017 or 2018, whatever year the Xbox Series X came out, or Xbox One X came out. And they've just never fixed it. So there's like a really tedious workaround, or I could plug it directly into the soundbar, but this TV is 120 hertz TV, and you lose that functionality if you plug it into the soundbar, and I'm not about to lose any functionality over this, so I'm going to do it the hard way. But everything else is fine. My Switch, my Wii U is hooked up and fine. PlayStation 5 is fine. It's just the Xbox. So that's what I'm going to be doing over the next, I don't know, probably 10 years trying to figure this out.
Or it's a sign you need to become a Sony pony.
No. Pass. But I have been playing. I've played a little bit of a lot on this TV just to test it out. Spider-Man looks amazing. Destiny looks amazing. Halo Infinite looks amazing. Gears looks amazing. Super Mario Wonder looks amazing. Zelda, ironically, does not look amazing on this TV. It's so washed out. It looks really washed out.
That's the secret to its graphics.
Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom has like, I don't know, like, you know, like
it looks
vibrant. It looks vibrant on small screens, but the moment you put it up on something bigger than, let's say, 42 inches, like then you start to see that, you know, like the art direction, you know, like they just did not care about color.
Here's the thing. I think like at certain times of day in game, the game looks phenomenal. But like when it starts sunsetting, or like you're around a lot of the red or the purple swirls from like, you know, bad stuff, like it just it looks blown out and really bad. And that was my complaint with Breath of the Wild when we first started talking about it too. It was like, I don't like playing the game when it's sunsetting. I wish I could just leave it on during midday all the time and it would look fine. But yeah, that was like the one game I was like, man, I'm probably not going to play this on here. But good thing I finished it already, I guess. I guess it's good that I have an OLED Switch.
That was Tears of the Kingdom, right?
Mm-hmm. I didn't try Breath of the Wild, to be fair, but it probably doesn't look any different because it doesn't look any different anyway. But I played a lot of awesome games. Like stuff like Axiom Verge looks awesome on there.
Ooh.
And like when you put the lights that sync with the picture on Axiom Verge and you put it in cinematic mode.
Which lights did you get?
So I was looking at quite a few. I thought about doing the Philips ones, but they're just way too expensive.
They're expensive, yeah.
I already bought the TV and I'm like, I can't do the expensive lights. So I bought the new Nanoleaf 4D TV lights, which does like it's screen mirroring technology. So what you do is you plug it into this little camera and you can either mount it above your TV or, you know, you can place it on your entertainment center under your TV and it just films your screen and whatever's happening happens. I've been rewatching, ironically, even though I complain about it a lot recently, the MCU movies from the beginning. And dude, Captain America Winter Soldier is amazing.
Say no more.
Yeah. It looks so good streaming that I bought the 4K Blu-ray.
Wait. Okay, so the Nanoleaf 4D, like it's the light panels, is not like a LED strip around the back.
There's like a whole series of the Nanoleaf 4D. I got the TV strip up to 65 inches. And then you can also sync the 4D, like they have the hexagon panels and the triangle panels. And which I might get some of those at some point, but those are also like right now gotta the budget is super tight right now. So
yeah, because I'm looking at it on Amazon right now, and I'm like, wait a second, because I see the light panels behind it, and I'm like, what's happening? Okay, I still want the light strip now.
Yeah, they make them up to 85 inches.
Did you catch that on a sale? Because they're like $120 right now.
Yeah, they were. It was it was like 50% off when I bought them last week.
See, I got the ones from Govee, and they're good. But when I upgraded from my 65 inch to my 75 inch, all of a sudden, like I lost like a no. The lights still do well, but they're not the same because like the light strip does not have enough length to go around the entire circumference of the the perimeter of the screen. The circumference, that's a circle.
Yeah, I was looking at the Govee ones, but a lot of the reviews said if you go over like 50 inches, they can't do what you want them to do.
Yeah, like in the corners, like the spacing is weird. Yeah, so I might get these Nanoleaf ones, but that means I've messed around and like introduced another ecosystem into my room because I got Philips right now, I've got Govee right now.
Well, does Android have like iPhones have like the My Home app where you can control a lot of different ecosystems? You can you can do that.
Things.
Yeah, you can do. Yeah. You can like where it integrates all your smart things into one app.
Yeah.
It does that. So that's pretty nice. I also the nice thing with the Nanoleaf ones is that when you go to set it up, you can actually control where the corners of your TV are on the app. Like it'll take a picture of your TV and you can like test the lights to see if they're in the right place, and if not, you can control like it brings up this grid and you can kind of like position the lights how you want them on your screen, on your phone screen, and then it'll show up that way on the TV screen. So that was really cool.
What's really cool about like it's called ambient light or amber lights. What's really cool about that is it reminds you of like watching, like going to the movie theater back in the day. Remember back when like you used to have like the curtain behind the projection screen?
Yeah.
And so you get that kind of like a light glow. Yeah.
Yeah. Our theater. Our theaters still have that, which is cool.
Yeah, it's a cool effect, but it's amazing when you're playing games because man, like all the lights and all the colors and all that stuff, and like I was playing Dead Space with that on, and oh my god, like because like when you play in HDR, like all the deep blacks and stuff, so like you'll literally see like one half is like there's no light, and the other half there's light. It's funny. It's hilarious.
I tried out Shadow of the Tomb Raider 2, and there's this point where you come out of this cave and into like this bright area, and like when you're crawling out of the cave, there's just this little like at the top of the TV, I just see this like 2 or 3 lights on behind it, and as you progress and come out, you see the whole screen just start to light up. It's super.
It's like waking up for the first time.
Yeah. It was super cool. And then there's all kinds of features. You can create scenes if you have other lights and control them all by one thing. It's super cool. But I'm really upset about this sound delay thing. But
I would be too.
I'm sure there's 100 YouTube videos on it. And apparently it's only with the Samsung sound bars that this happens.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. So I don't know. But I did, in terms of like real games that I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2 because Season of the Wish started this week. And yeah, I mean, it's another season of Destiny. It's the last season of Destiny. Also, the Final Shape got delayed 5 months, which is
great. Okay, so help me out figuring out something here. The way they call it the Final Shape, is that part of Destiny 2?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so will this, when the Final Shape happens, does that mean like Destiny 3 will be coming, or does this mean
we don't know? We don't know yet. We know they're doing at least 1 year of these things called episodes, which are like smaller chunks of story, kind of like the way they used to do it, where like you get every 6 weeks, I guess, you get a new story chunk to play through and a new weapons and missions and events. But we don't we don't know. They're not announcing anything else until the final shape is over, because if you say anything about the future of the game, really, you're pretty much spoiling what happens in the final shape. And but they are dropping because we were concerned. We're like, what's happening? Like, this is going to be the second longest season Destiny's ever had. It's going to be like 6-8 months. Let's see, what is it? November. So technically December, I guess, through June. When these seasons usually last 3 months, and you were getting like a 7-month season. But in April, they're dropping some sort of I forget what they called it, but just like a pat, like it's kind of like its own little mini season. So that's cool, but nobody knows what's going to be in it. But and then I beat Spider-Man 2 on break. I started and finished it.
Wow!
What do you think?
I mainlined it. I mainlined the story in 10 hours.
Okay.
Did you hit any of the side quests?
I did after the story, but
okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty short game, but it's really fun to play. I think the story is kind of like terribly paced, just like the first one. I like the twists on the story, like the different things that Insomniac's been really good at changing the stories that into something different. I like Harry's story in this, but I wish it would have been better paced. I also really like Miles' story in this game, but they didn't explore it enough to where I wish they would have just focused on Peter's story in this game and then had a Miles Morales too. But at the same time, Miles' story in this is really integral to Peter's in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of, I also thought the big selling point in this game was Venom. I kind of thought the Venom stuff was underwhelming.
Oh, you didn't like that it finally kicked in after 80% of the game?
Yeah, that's that. I was trying not to spoil it for people, but yeah, the main villain of the game is Kraven.
Just like the main villain of the first one was Martin Lee.
Yeah. So also, I know Insomniac said, and I've said this on a couple other podcasts before, but I know they kind of said Miles Morales is their Spider-Man moving forward, like their main Spider-Man moving forward. But the way it ends, like both scenes, the way it ends makes you think Spider-Man 3 is totally going to be about Peter.
No, I think Spider-Man 3 is going to have 3 characters.
Yeah, no, I know the third character is at the end, the one character that shows up at the end that you don't see their face, but you can tell by the name that they use. So that'll be interesting, which is nice because the other character that I thought was the obvious choice to bring in for a third spider person is not happening, which is kind of refreshing since that person's in a lot of the other media that's out about Spider-Man. But yeah, it was we'll save a lot of it because that's our next book club. Our next Patreon book club is Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. We
and I have a lot to say.
Talk about.
I'm looking forward to listening to that.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about the game. I think the game itself is immaculate. I think Insomniac's really nailed the gameplay of Spider-Man. I think swinging, the combat, the gadgets, although I missed my drones from the first game.
I don't know. Some of those gadgets are really freaking cool. I love the concussion bomb and the webs. And honestly, I felt super powerful by the end of this game.
Yeah.
Just with all the gadgets and abilities that I was just zipping between bad guys and just webbing them up with finesse. Yeah.
I still think playing as Miles is way cooler. Before the games, I think everybody kind of knows by now who Miles Morales is. He's the other Spider-Man, right? But after playing Miles Morales and this game, I'm really interested to dig deeper into Miles' media, I guess you would say. I just think he's a really interesting character, and not that Peter Parker's boring, but we all know the story of Peter Parker, right? It's kind of, I mean, it's that story's 85 years old. So
Yeah.
to see a different character kind of assume that role is really cool. I think his powers are cooler. Like, I love the electric powers that he has. And then, like, obviously he gets somebody else's power. I don't want to spoil the game, but the new powers he gets are really cool. And I can't wait for this book club. Actually, I'm like really excited.
Nice.
I have two full legal pad pages full of notes. So,
Damn.
which was the first time I've really taken a lot of notes on a game that I've been playing, but also something I think I should probably do moving forward.
Well, you and I have both beat it, so just gotta get that third person, and we're good.
I know. I think I know Grayson played it. I'm gonna try to reach out to him, and I forget who. Somebody in the Discord wanted to do it too.
Mary
Yeah.
did. I don't know where she's at though.
Yeah.
We should probably find out.
Yeah. But with that said, Spider-Man 2 is really good. I would probably give it like an 8.5. I still think Miles Morales is the best of the 3 games out right now, in my opinion. So,
Wow.
Oh, maybe I can interject my Spider-Man here. So I will agree. This game was very fantastic. Probably one of the things I liked about it was I feel they utilized the villains better in this game. Like, instead of having all the villains pile up at the very end, like the first one, like the villains are spread out.
Yeah,
so
that was
you
my
at least, yeah,
that,
you got
that
a
was my
different
big
villain
issue with
every
the first
couple
game
hours.
was Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, it's right. I agree with that.
Yeah. I also think I think it was better because they kind of had less villains to manage, which made it easier to kind of spread them out. You know, because it's really only Kraven, Lizard, and Venom.
Yeah, with a sprinkle of Sandman.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The opening scene. Yeah, and then like the side missions revolve around him too. But yeah.
But even the side quest villains were interesting, and definitely some of those lead to whether or not these characters are going to appear in a DLC or if they were built up for Spider-Man 3 as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited to see where this series goes. They made some interesting choices with the story in this one, and we'll see if they can actually build it up, because it's kind of hard to beat the Venom story, like in terms of what's going to like create a greater threat for the for the city.
Yeah, but that what was it? The end credit scene. I guess it would be the mid and the end credits. Really, actually makes me think that the next. I know Venom is like that's the one everybody waits for, right? Is like the Venom story, but side tangent though about Venom. I also like how they kind of gave nods to other versions of Venom, right? Like Agent Venom. There's a really cool nod to that in this game. But yeah, I guess it wasn't really a side tangent, but like everybody waits for the Venom storyline, but I'm actually like really intrigued by that mid and end credit scene to see how they deal with those characters. And I don't know if it's going to be DLC or not.
No,
but I
guarantee you the end ones were definitely Spider-Man 3 related.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like if they were going to go with a DLC, they would continue on the story of the guy in the flame.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would be a perfect fit for the DLC.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just me. And that was my thoughts on Spider-Man. Good game. Check it out.
I would argue it's a great game.
I would argue it is an amazing game.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
Spectacular.
I saw what you tried to do there, Pat.
I did too. I didn't mean to kill your pun. But the thing that kind of killed it for me was actually the story pacing, to be honest. The actual gameplay is like a 10 out of 10. So I think they try to do too much.
I was going to ask what was it about it that you?
Yeah, I think they jumbled. I think they tried to integrate Peter and Miles' story and try to do too much with both of them and didn't focus on either of them. And it kind of didn't pan out the way I think they wanted it to, honestly. But
yeah, it still feels the same, kind of like in Spider-Man 1, how like the 3 acts just didn't really coincide together well. Like after you finish Martin Lee's story, it completely changed tone. I mean, it feels like you got 3 separate stories in this one again,
definitely.
rather than one like story that melded like 3 scenarios together.
Yeah, definitely. And then like also the thing that made me laugh, although I know it's a Spider-Man game, but like not to spoil anything, but the third act with all that stuff going on and the Avengers are just chilling in their tower, like shutting the windows and being like, well, I don't see anything out there. We're not going to help.
They don't need the Avengers for that.
Made me laugh.
They got their friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Men.
Spider Pals.
The Spider Pals.
That's a real thing, by the way, guys.
Yep.
All right, who's next? Well, Pat, I guess you already talked about Spider-Man, so
all right.
I guess you can continue.
I beat 4 games this since we last talked, including game number 40 of 40. I've officially hit that goal, and I've surpassed it to now 43 games.
Dang.
Yep. But the game number 40 was like a dragon, Gaiden, the man who erased his name. And like I said the last time I talked about it, amazing game, great starting point into the Yakuza series if you wanted to get into it. Just because it does kind of bring up who Kiryu is, even though the Like a Dragon series has now gone and focused on Ichiban Kasuga. But at least now you know who the other guy is. That's going to be with him in the new game. And then it also had a great demo afterwards where you kind of get a little flavor of that Hawaii sandbox and get to play some really fun mini games like Sicko Snap, which is a play off of Pokemon Snap, where instead of taking photographs of Pokemon, you take up photographs of muscly men in masks and very provocative poses throughout the streets of Hawaii.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. I'm interested in that game, but I have 37 other games to catch up on before I play that.
Yeah. So that was 40. 41 was Spider-Man 2. I 100%ed that and got the Platinum Trophy. I also got the Platinum Trophy for Like a Dragon Gaiden. Then I decided to dig into my backlog and I picked out Little Nightmares because I keep seeing things for Little Nightmares 3 and I kind of wanted to get into that. If you like Limbo, it's a Limbo style game. You run around, you try to solve puzzles in the environment while occasionally escaping from a cremated looking monstrosity. And it has a very interesting twist in the end, so I'm excited to see where Little Nightmares 2 and 3 goes with it. But interesting enough, I think the DLC actually was better than the main game. The DLC I felt had more. It was 3 levels, so it actually almost like extended the main game's length by twice its size. But the DLC focused a lot heavier on the puzzle aspect and integrated that more into the gameplay. So I thought that one worked well. And then game number 43 of 40, I went through Metroid Prime Remastered, finally. For the first time I 100%ed it as well. And great game, got a lot of the feels. Completely remembered why I absolutely hated the Phazon mine in that game. That level freaking sucked. Balls. That's right. So, game number 43 of 40 was Metroid Prime Remastered. I finally was able to get around to that game, and there's a lot of nostalgic memories of it. Like Nintendo made a very fine remastered game. Like that's something Nintendo I think does right with their remasters. It could be an old game, but it still plays like it used to, or it's slightly smoother than it used to, and it looks good still. Like this Metroid game looked good.
Yeah.
I will say though, it brought back the repressed memories of the Phazon Mind, which to me sucked balls. We're talking Metroid sucking morph balls here, because there's a hell of a lot of Metroids and they start getting very annoying in that place.
Yes.
But other than that, like, loved the game. I loved the final boss. That's actually a very fun final boss too. And yeah.
Question for you. I think I might have asked this a long time ago when I first played Metroid Prime Remastered. I had a heck of a time at the final area right before you get to the boss, and you have to kind of like platform your way all the way up the pillar. And I hated that part so much
Fusion
because
Metroid's knocking you off
yes,
too.
so
Yep.
it's not me being a bad gamer. That's a tough area, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I
that's a
didn't
tough
fall,
area.
but you know.
I'm like, no, stop.
Yeah.
Ah.
No, it's there are some platforming moments that even I was starting to get pissed off at, but they were mostly in the Phazon Mine again, such as, well, okay, some of my biggest complaints about this game, as other games have been, is the inability to change your brightness settings. So there were a lot of dark levels in this game, and I know it's for the using other visors, but switching over between X-ray and heat vision and trying to see which one actually shows me which, like, where the ledges are in the darkness is not fun. Just let me see where the hell I'm going to jump to without falling into a giant pit of Phazon. Anyways, that's my revenge. Phazon, the poison that the meteor dropped in that game. There was so much lore in Metroid. We should almost rest.
Scan it all.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, I played new games, guys. Actual new games. And since you guys are all going to talk about Super Mario RPG, I'm going to go to Persona 5 Tactica, the latest and greatest of the Persona series, but in chibi, cute form, and a tactics game. Now, is it good? Yes. Is it a Persona game? Not at all. This game takes a lot of the mechanics of Persona and tosses them right out the window to be more of a simplified tactics game. Things that they kind of got rid of, like they still have the Persona system, but the Personas are almost meaningless other than stat boosts and like one extra skill. They don't actually appear on the field of any kind. You do not actually fight them. You do not actually negotiate with them. They are like little gears that you find as items, and then you can meld them together and create another persona and get stat boosts from that gear. So it still has the persona fusion, but you don't actually like summon them into battle. You have you have the standard persona that each character has, but none of the actual like Shimigami roster of creatures. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that defines Persona, and it's not really there. Other things, they got rid of the social links in it, but there's still like a lot of talking that you can do with your teammates through watching little scenes. And luckily, the game has a lot of great personality. Like each one of the characters still brings their personality front and center to the game. Like it's almost like seeing family again after not seeing them for a couple years. You'll have the ones that you gravitate to. You're like, yeah, this guy's cool, or the ones like, dude, I remember why we stopped talking, several years ago. But I love the cast of Persona 5. Like, it's probably one of my favorite Persona 5 games, and it's really cool to revisit them again in this game. The tactics battle system itself is actually fairly simple. It kind of reminds me a bit of the Super Mario or the Mario's versus Rabbids, where it's cover-based tactic systems. Where as long as you're not in their line of sight, their attack could possibly miss you or be blocked altogether. But then there's some slight Persona battle-ish maneuvers you can do in this game, such as exploiting a weakness of an enemy or performing a critical and then getting an extra turn because of that. And then you can start linking up some really cool moves, such as punching someone off the side of an elevated platform so that while they're falling, another character then does a follow-up attack and shoots them right in midair. And it gives you an extra turn doing that. Or downing an enemy and then triangulating your character so that they do an all-out attack and just massacring the board.
Oof.
Like, there's a lot of fun, tactics in this game that aren't, super complicated at all. But yeah, it's so far very enjoyable. You can't go in it thinking it's like a normal Persona game, because it's not. But if you played through Persona 5 and want more of these characters, I say this game is definitely a perfect pick-me-up. Those who pick it up after or without playing 5 won't have a damn clue who these characters are or why they are all journeying together. So that's my take on Persona 5 right now.
Nice.
Finally, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was only gonna just lamely add, from the little whisperings on the internets, seems like it's been a very well received. It is a very well received game. Sorry.
No, it's a good game. It's not traditional, but it's still a fun game. And like I said, it's definitely meant as for something for those who have actually played Persona 5. I can't see you jumping into this game without knowing some, if not all, of what happened in Persona 5, because it literally takes place right after the main events of 5, but before the game ends. The winter break during between the second and third semesters of school. So, yeah. Super Mario RPG, guys. Did y'all get to play it?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Nostalgia, bro. Nostalgia.
Yes, it is. Oh my gosh. Like I said again, with Nintendo remakes and remasters, it's like playing the Super Nintendo game again, but it looks beautiful.
Yes.
So, let's talk about Super Mario RPG, guys. Y'all played it, right?
Woohoo! Nostalgia.
I've never played it.
I've never played the original, but I've started the remake, and I love the heck out of it.
I'm not surprised that Corey has never played the original.
I never had a Super Nintendo.
Surprised. Oh, you didn't have? That's right. I remember you saying you never had Super Nintendo. I remember that. I remember that now. Yeah.
I mean, I have one now, but I have like 5 games for it, and none of them are Mario RPG.
I still have my Super NES. I'll mail you my Super NES Super Mario RPG cartridge if you like.
I think
you don't want to play it. If you don't want to play it, if you're playing Mario RPG, Mario RPG remake. You don't want to play it. Play the Super NES one.
It's on whatever the Nintendo online thing
is.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, I believe it's on the Virtual Console.
It's somewhere. It's either on the Wii U Virtual Console, the Wii Virtual Console, or Nintendo Switch Online, or all three, or some combination.
Mm-hmm.
No, so here's fun trivia for our listeners out there, especially if you guys are younger than the Nintendo GameCube. Like, Mario RPG is the game that originated with all those emotes that we see Mario and crew do, like over in the more modern games now. It's like Mario RPG is basically the precursor to Super Mario, Mario and Luigi, that series. Technically people think it's Paper Mario that started off the Mario RPG stuff, but no, it's Super Mario RPG.
Yeah.
Yep. but we have yet to get Charles Martinet yet.
Good.
So Mario is completely silent.
Oh my gosh! Side tangent about the new Mario and Mario Wonder. Everybody's like, "Oh, he sounds so different, dude." I couldn't even tell. If you wouldn't have told me, I would have never known.
He sounds different, but at the same time, he sounds the same. What I like about this new guy in Mario Wonder is it's not as abrasive.
I don't notice.
For me, if I go looking for the difference, like, oh, this is definitely not going to be Charles Martinet, and I listen, I can tease out the difference. But when I'm then just focused on the game and enjoying the game, I don't think about it, and therefore it doesn't bother me, and therefore it just sounds like Mario. So, like, the people who complain that he sounds so drastic, I think they're just looking for these changes.
Okay, at the risk of being canceled, he doesn't sound like a fruitcake now.
Like it's
I said that.
less
less happy.
Less flamboyant.
There you go. Flamboyant. There you go.
And these are coming from two bisexual people on the show, so we're not anti whatever.
Exactly. Like I said, at the risk of being canceled, I just said that.
I feel offended for your kind. Okay.
Offended for you.
I will be the offended one for you.
Yikes!
If we look at the history of it,
that I am.
Because man, like when Super Mario 64 came out and like he had a voice, I was like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. And then as the years droned on and more characters got voices, like, oh man, like because in Mario 64, like the Toads didn't have a voice. Well, they had the root that thing, you know. And then next thing, like, okay, it's like, oh my god. And then Yoshi got a voice, and Birdo got a voice, Shy Guy got a voice, and I was like, oh no, stop, you know. And I don't know, like Princess Peach's voice, like I don't think I've ever like been impressed with her voice. I don't think I ever have.
Mm-mm.
Even Anna Taylor.
She sounds like they try to do. She sounds like they try to do like a super cutified version of Penelope Pitstop from those old ass cartoons.
What?
Who?
Yeah, I'm old. I'm old. I'm old. Like, yeah, look it up. Wacky Races. Look it up.
Who? We watched the Mario movie again the other night, by the way. You brought it.
You know what? I appreciate those fucking voices. I do. I really do. Because I would not have been able to sit through an entire movie where it was the actual Mario voices from the games. I
know.
Here we go. We're gonna get like a 1-star rating on Apple Podcasts now, just because we said that.
You know what?
I don't disagree with you, LeRon, though. I don't. That's the thing.
You know what? These Nintendo nerds can go stuff themselves or whatever they want to do. Because I'm just saying, like, can you imagine how annoying the movie would have gotten for like a straight audience? And when I say straight audience, I don't mean like straight people. I mean people who are not gamers that just took their kids or just want to see what the fuss is all about. That would have got annoying like after 20 minutes. And I'm being nice by saying 20 minutes.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
I still don't think I like that movie, to be honest.
Here we go.
You still think or don't? You still think you do or you don't like?
I don't think I like that movie.
I don't like it enough to say it deserved this Rotten Tomatoes score, which that's another conversation we can have at one point.
I really tried to like watch it and like it this time, and like I don't. It's like one of those weird movies where I don't know if I like it or not.
I hate to say it, as far as blueprints go, like it's still Final Fantasy Advent Children. That's the blueprint for like video game movies.
Yeah,
and technically Advent Children is like an independent production that's like a sequel to a game. It's not.
I don't know, man. The Tomb Raider movies are really good.
I'm talking.
We talking Angelina Jolie?
Yeah, all of them. Give them all to me.
Give him all the Lord props.
See, and he says give them all to me, and it just takes me back to Bring It On.
Oh my gosh, I love that movie. There's some sort of discovery when I watch that movie.
Anyway, Super Mario RPG.
Yes, back to Super Mario RPG.
From a lens of someone that's never played the original, I found this game so incredibly charming. I took to it like I better not improvise. I'll probably say something either gross or offensive, but I took to it very quickly. I can only I love the fact that if I had no prior knowledge, I'd be like, this is a great modern Mario game. And with the knowledge, I'm like, damn, Nintendo really made us like a solid, long lasting game. And what a wonderful remake. It's just charming from like every time Mario tips his hat when he gets something or levels up. The actual
those dances and the level up.
yeah,
Oh
it's
man, those are so freaking awesome.
yeah, it's adorable and like it actually is like a legit RPG. It's not so intense. Maybe some people might not like that, but I think it's like just right. I was very impressed by this game.
I'm glad you're impressed by this game. I like it a lot. I think they toned down the difficulty big time, even on its normal.
Yeah,
regular,
I felt that too. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that thought that. I was like, I don't remember this game being this easy. But then again, like, I don't know, like, Pat, you kind of power play these games. So I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I'm pretty sure you're further than I am in the game.
I just got the 3rd star.
Oh yeah, you're further than I am.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, when you hit that button just at the right time and that like attack just hits everyone instead of just one person, that definitely made it a hell of a lot easier.
But I mean, at the same time, I feel like that's one of the things they did to refresh the game, though.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to spend a whole lot of time doing the traditional turn-based combat that the game originally had.
Yeah,
still has, but I mean, let's face it, turn-based is great, but for today's ADHD audience, it's not going to fly too well, so they need to speed these battles up.
It's sad,
well,
but I get it.
I think that's why, like that's in there though, where like it does the multi hits and stuff though.
Yeah.
I really think that's the magic of it because like like we're playing Persona Tactica, right? Persona 5 Tactica.
Yeah.
And like that's turn based, and stuff like that. Like I haven't actually played it. I downloaded it on Game Pass to the ROG Ally, but I haven't started it yet.
Leveling that game only takes like 5-10 minutes, and that's short for a tactics.
That is short for a tactics because most the average shit, just play Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre. You guys understand what I'm talking about. The grind is real.
Lasted quite a bit.
Yes. It was nothing to be like three-fourths of the way through a battle in like Tactics and just have to sit the controller down and go make yourself a sandwich because you knew like it was still gonna be a long haul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
Anyways, yeah, it's still a really fun game. I love the personality in it. It's very refreshing. Definitely brings me back to the childhood days of just playing the game over and over again.
Oh, and this is going to be this is going to be our January Boss Rush Book Club, right?
Yep.
It is.
Technically, there's still, by the time this comes out, it will there's still 3 days of voting.
Okay.
Right? 2 days of voting, but
it is not official, but it may very well be our Boss Rush Book Club.
It's winning by it's winning by a lot.
Okay.
So,
well, the good thing is I don't think it's terribly long. Like I said, I just got my 3rd star, and I'm like only I'm not even 10 hours into it. I feel like I'm about halfway through the game.
Yeah, so. I just got it, so I will be playing.
Ooh.
Very soon. Probably this weekend, actually. So
very nice.
Nice.
Yeah, like the past month has been really good for Mario.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's been a pretty good year for Nintendo in general.
Absolutely.
It has. It has. As the Nintendo naysayer of this group, it has. It has been good.
I mean, Zelda, Pikmin 4, Mario Wonder, and Mario RPG.
Metroid Prime.
Metroid Prime, and
Metroid
Fire
Prime,
Emblem
the
game.
first 10 of the year. I honestly, I looked at all the games I beat, and 8 of them are actual like Nintendo produced games.
Mm-hmm.
They did a lot this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm done anyway. So,
all right, Stephanie.
All right, I'll try and make this short. So Mario RPG. I just caught up on a little bit of the Stanley Parable because and this was before my hospital bill, or else I would not have thrown down money for this. Got my PlayStation Portal. Woo!
Nice.
look at that shiny screen.
It
All
actually.
right, so spill. We want to know.
I love it. I love it. Listen, it's one of those things where it's. I think it goes to a specific audience, obviously, who are either going to love it and everyone else is going to think it's a useless, money, like burn your money kind of thing, right? So as people know, you can only play with it with your PS5 on within your house with internet. But for me, that's okay. The purpose of me buying it is so I don't have to sit and play my PS5 because I sit all day at work and my back hurts because I'm old. It was easy setup. The screen, like the visuals look amazing. It's light as a feather. And I've experienced very bare minimal interruptions while playing. I start off with Stanley Parable at first because that's like a very quick, I can get a few quick runs in to test it out, no problems. But it's not an intensive game. And then I downloaded Baldur's Gate 3, which is the third game that I'm playing because I want to play at least a little bit of it before Game of the Year, Game Awards, I should say. And
to see if it's truly the game of the year.
Exactly. And there have been times where I get that little flash, like that probably warns me like there's some sort of internet connectivity issue. But like I don't like my game is still running fine. I saw a little bit of quirky lag and I thought it was the portal, but when I went to my TV room, my office to see, because it's playing on the TV while I'm playing on my portal. It's actually the game. It's not the portal. So far, performance is great. The battery life, I can't remember what it's published as, but I do feel like I need to charge it after every session.
Yeah, I thought it was only like 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, it's not that long. So I would say like that's my personal biggest gripe about it. But like I said, it's light, it's easy. I am the right audience for it, and I love it. I've used this constantly. I feel like it works well, and I don't know. I'm hoping this is just kind of PlayStation. Sony just kind of testing the waters, and maybe actually having a true portable in the future, like a true one that you can take out of the house kind of thing. And maybe this is just kind of a start. We'll see. I don't know. I don't have like any intel on that. But as a
How
person,
does it feel though?
like ergonomically,
How does the console feel? Like, how heavy is it?
it's light. I don't know what if someone wants to look up the specs, but it's not like the Steam Deck. That's majority of the reason why I don't like my Steam Decks. It's so heavy. This is so light.
Mhm.
I love it. It's like
the Steam Deck and Lenovo Legion Go are like the heaviest things on the market right now.
Let me see. It's like I mean, obviously my hands aren't scales, but if I were to hold these two together, I almost feel like my Switch is heavier. It is very light.
Interesting. Okay.
Very light. And here are the sizes by comparison. So obviously the Portal is like larger in width and everything. And you think that maybe it would feel awkward, but no, it doesn't bother me at all. Like I feel like it fits well. I mean, I personally don't have any issues with the PlayStation controller. I know a lot of people tend to favor the Xbox controller design better.
Yeah, just because of how you're holding it, but this one's definitely longer. So,
exactly.
It's not like you're holding a smaller controller.
Exactly. So I think it actually works well. You're essentially playing on like a either oversized phone or a small tablet, and like I said, I just turn my PS5 on, leave the room, start playing, and I just haven't had any issues. And it's great for me because next to Nintendo, the majority of the games that I play are Sony games because I like those very narrative driven, third person action adventure type stuff. So I love the Portal. I don't know, LeRon, if you have any questions. I probably won't have any specs to.
Oh yeah. I was actually trying to look at the specs, and it looks like I'm gonna have to like look into it a little bit deeper because like there's nothing that comes out on it. And I'm like, I know people have done teraways of this thing, so why are we not getting like how much it weighs? You know, like all that stuff. You know, and yeah, and Sony's being very like cloak and dagger about this one. Plus the fact that they've manipulated NPD to where like it's not on the accessory sale, it's on the hardware sales. And I'm not sure if that's just some type of power move. So like, you know, like it basically pushes the Xbox Series into fourth place versus third place in consoles, you know? Like it's a little weird.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, why wouldn't they? Because I would say the weight is something that is such a huge plus. Battery life, not so much. But so that's the Portal. When I pre-ordered mine and had that long back and forth with GameStop, it definitely, it was the only Portal that came into their GameStop. Looks like the stores aren't really stocking them. And people, they told me people were coming in the store and asking if they stocked the Portal. And they're like, nope, the only one that will be coming into the store was pre-ordered by a customer. So I don't know.
It's right now still currently sold out everywhere. Funny thing is, you can get a PlayStation Slim just fine, but you can't
Interesting.
get a Portal. I don't think they made a whole lot. I think it's a manufacturing thing on that part.
What, the Slim?
No, the Portal.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, well, their pre-orders were initially like they were on target, but they were initially low to be producing like a ton of them. I mean, I think this is like a niche device and they know it and they'll just make them as people want. If there's still demand, people will buy it. Like, you know, they'll still manufacture them, but I can't see this thing selling more than like 5 million units in its lifetime, you know.
We'll see how it goes, but I'm very happy with it, and I'm already, I feel like it's definitely has its money's worth with me. So, and I know we're kind of running long, so maybe I'll save more conversation with Baldur's Gate 3 the next time we record. But I did start playing it. I'm split 50-50 on why I can understand this could be game of the year versus not, because I am a former D&D player. Like I played the 5e whatever D&D. So like I'm not a pro at it, but like I know the general basic rules. And even with that, I was so overwhelmed and just I had a hard time starting it. And I'm like, how can people who don't even never even played D&D enjoy this game and it be game of the year? Like I felt like the learning curve for this is steeper than a learning curve for Elden Ring. Like, and this is coming from someone who's actually played D&D. Now that's not an insult to the game. Looks great, sounds great. By the time I got to doing the long rest at night, which I took so long to do, but the long rest is where you get to know the characters and develop their stories. I'm like, all right, I could see where this is considered a high quality game. There's almost limitless things you can do. And technically there are a lot of like things in the UI for people who don't know D&D that explain everything. So like it's there, but you have to go look it up every single time. I'm no lie. I printed out my old D&D character sheets to write down all their stats because I'm sick of
Stephanie, you're awesome.
well, I have to constantly I have to constantly pull up the wheel and then go into the digital character sheet. Then I have to look at all my 4 party members sheets to figure out which one has the most charisma, and that's going to be the person that will be doing all the talking. So like
I have a I have a friend who I like I'm going to ask her if she's playing Baldur's Gate 3 and I'm going to try to get y'all like to play this game together.
Yeah, so like on one hand, I get it being game of the year because of the amount of content that is in there, and I'm not even making that silly joke like haha because you can have sex with a bear. Like no, it's just a lot of things in there. I get it.
I was just about to ask. I was just ask if you did that.
Not yet. I haven't really. I've just.
She said not yet.
I've gotten to the tip of the iceberg of like starting to romance my characters, and I don't know where to go with that. I am a male, some sort of crazy name for an elf type thing. Yeah, I don't know. I gotta. I forgot what race I am. Well, I picked an unusual race that I haven't seen. Anyway, but like I said, it's just I struggle with the game of the year as well because I'm having a hard time thinking someone who doesn't play D&D being able to latch onto it. Like I said, so the jury's still out. Like I know once you're past the learning curve, it is fantastic. So I'm definitely eager. Like I'm always like anytime during my break at work, like pop my PlayStation Portal and try to get around in. Um, we'll see. So stay tuned for more feedback from me.
Now, you said there's a learning curve to this. Now,
Yes.
let's say you didn't have any knowledge of D&D, but wanted to get into D&D. Would you say this is a gateway to that? Like, is there an ease of learning D&D through this rather than reading an entire D&D like guidebook?
It's possible because everything does explain with a click of a mouse or a pointer. So everything is explained somewhere. It's just as long as that gamer or that person is willing to go at a literal snail's pace in the game because they're always stopping to read and study everything. Because D&D is a lot. You have freaking your different attributes: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. Then you got your points for saving throws. You got your skills that are depending on all those things. You got your armor class, initiative, hit points, hit the death saves, attacks, spells, your background, your race, your stuff like that. So it is there. They can learn D&D through there, and I've watched some YouTubers that are more experienced and have gone farther in the game that it is almost a 1-for-1 with the tabletop edition 5 edition D&D with slight differences in the rules, very slight, but it's relatively faithful. So I would say it actually kind of is, especially if someone's more digitally inclined than maybe on paper.
Yeah.
It's just like I said, you'd have to have the patience of going at a snail's pace because I'm used to faster paced games, running around, beating stuff up, shooting things. Here I have to like really plan on like which of my characters is going to have this conversation because they're going to have better dice rolls with a better outcome. And like and it's so as long as you have the patience, and I think this game would be way easier on PC with mouse and keyboard, much easier. Not that I'm not enjoying my PS5, but I'm just saying I see this as a game that is a easier experience on PC. So yeah, Baldur's Gate 3, more to come because I'm still very early in it. Sorry,
Nice.
I try to keep that as short as I can because it's a lot.
Sorry, and I extended it because I had
No,
questions.
no,
I had questions.
it makes me feel happy to get questions because I know you're listening to me babble on.
Because I've tried to get into D&D so many times, but I don't know if it's just, because I jump into it immediately with like a whole bunch of people who are already experienced, or to me, it's like there's so much I don't know about the game. So I'm like, I don't know, I guess I'm just making things up as I go, and whether or not it's part of the rules or like how things work.
Yeah, it depends
It'd be
on.
nice to have that interactive like video game that would be like, yeah, this is how it works.
Yes. Because a lot of it also depends on your dungeon, your DM. I mean, this is already a very intricate story. Many of the things that are manually done on tabletop, the game does automatic rolls, and you'll just see it pop up on your screen like you succeeded in survival or whatever, and everything kind of plays out. So
Oh, is there a difficulty selector?
yes.
Okay.
I start off in the middle. I forgot what it's called, the standard, and I got my ass kicked. I got creamed by like just the first battle. So then I went to easy. Um, but what I like about this game, because not all games do this, is you can change the difficulty mid game. So I do plan once I get used to the D&D of it, I'm gonna probably bump it back up to standard.
Yeah, I might check out Baldur's Gate 3 sometime. I don't know how soon, but it's something that it is on my radar, but I just don't know if I had the patience for it.
See, that's the thing. You need the patience unless you already have a baseline knowledge. But if and when you're ever interested, it's very friendly with like inviting other players into your party if you want to do that too.
Okay. Cool.
Neat.
LeRon.
All right. Well, last and certainly least is me. So yeah, I've also been playing Super Mario RPG, and we've already had that conversation. And I'm back on my whole Dead Space remake kick because I discovered something. Okay, so I told you guys that basically, like, like the second run is for me to like get the alternate ending where basically like it leads into Dead Space 2. Okay, so what I found out though is in your second playthrough, Isaac's dialogue changes.
Really?
Yeah, it changes because like for people who don't know a lot about Dead Space and stuff like that, basically the marker makes people insane and stuff like that. It's making people do things they don't want to do, which is basically kill off their entire civilization. And I'm in chapter 6 right now, and I'm actually starting to, and I'm seeing where the Isaac's dialogue has changed from the first game, and it's really easy. It's really easy to figure it out if it's changed or not. What the smart person should do is in your first playthrough of Dead Space, save each as you go from chapter to chapter. Every time you get to the new chapter, make a new save. So basically, number one, you'll see like the chapter, the first letter of the chapter spell out something. So it's like an anagram. But when you start over in your second run, then just start a brand new save and then just save on top of that one. Because basically you can go back to chapters and do comparisons of dialogue, and you will see where Isaac is starting where his insanity is starting to show through in the second playthrough. It does not show in the first playthrough, and that's the genius part of this. And you know what? Now I'm kind of pissed that Gunnar Wright was not in the running for best performance for Dead Space, because like in the original Dead Space game, Isaac was a silent character, and then Dead Space 2 and 3, they hired Gunnar Wright to become the voice actor for him, and he started having spoken lines. But the fact that in Dead Space remake, they made an entire script for a guy who had no lines in the game, and it actually makes sense and flows with the lore and the dialogue and all that stuff, was amazing. And then the guy did double duty, because like here's some other things you didn't know about it. Like Isaac has patterns of speak for when he's at full health, when he's at mid range, and when he's like on one red bar. Like the way he talks changes, the way he breathes and maneuvers changes and stuff like that, and that's all affected. So this guy literally like recorded thousands of lines of dialogue for this character for a game that this guy had no voice in the first game. So yeah, so I'm a little pissed at the Game Awards for not having this guy in for like best performance. It didn't matter if he won or not, but the fact that like this guy put in work, he reprised the character
Get recognized
from a dead franchise. He reprised the character from a dead franchise that he actually originally voiced into a game that he wasn't even a thought of, and man, it's
dead franchise.
Dead, exactly. The dead franchise. You know what? And you know what? Just keep them remakes coming. Dead Space 2. If you want to do Dead Space 3, I'm not gonna argue with you. And make a Dead Space 4 and let's finish the fucking storyline.
I think the director said that if he was going to change anything, he would change Dead Space 3. I don't think he was.
I've been watching because one of the content Captain Bribbo, I think that's his name. He said he played the game with Ben Wanat, who's one of the original writers of the original trilogy and stuff like that. And as they went through all 12 chapters and stuff, they talked about things, and they had like an epilogue thing where they talked about some things that would have been done differently and stuff. And yeah, that's of course Wanat was the first person. He wasn't the first person to admit it, but he said on live camera or whatever, on a recording, that like the meddling of the execs is why Dead Space 3 is what it is. And in my opinion, Dead Space 3 was not a bad game. I will that's a hill I will die on. It was not a bad game. Could it have been like the best game in the franchise? Yes, it could have been, and so yeah, so there's things, and then they were talking about. Then they were already theorizing the stuff that they want to do if a fourth game it came out. Like the Ishimura is a planet cracker. They were talking about using planet crackers to kill the Brethren moons, which basically are giant ass fucking moons. That would have been amazing to see stuff like that. So like Dead Space remake is probably going to see me out to the end of the year. Like I'm playing Mario RPG. I barely started Spider-Man 2, so that's why I didn't add it into like what are we playing? Because I didn't see enough to say like this is it. Baldur's Gate 3 is on my list, and I'm still playing Mario Wonder. So there you go.
Very nice.
I'm done. Gunner Wright, I love you. Have my babies, or I have your babies. Whichever one.
Yeah. Baby making.
Corey's like, okay.
It's like, how does that work out when you're two guys? Can you like just merge the sperm and then create?
We just keep practicing.
Okay.
Keep practicing until we get it right.
All right.
The wise words of Jeff Goldblum: "Life finds a way." Okay. Oh, geez.
Speaking of people named Jeff.
Oh, God.
Nice segue.
Yeah. You guys wanted to continue the indie discussion because there was a recent interview with Jeff Keighley where he kind of explained himself or what
he stepped in it.
Yeah, and
he defended his judges, and he's the one who's getting the shit in the face right now.
Okay. He defended his judges. I feel like he punted, though.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think the indie category is all messed up, but also these are the quote unquote popular smaller titles that are going to get views on the Game Awards. And that's the real reasoning, in my opinion. Is it right?
I'm glad you said that because I'm glad you said that, Corey, because like I was going to say this, whether you had said what you said just now or not. I was going to say like I'm not going to buy Dave the Diver until after the Game Awards.
Yeah.
It's a great game.
I bet it comes to Game.
I know it's a great game. I've seen some of the Let's Plays, and I was like, "Oh my god, this game is amazing."
Well, here's kind of like another thing, and I hate to say it, and this is where people just really need to just chill the fuck out. First of all, it's the Game Awards. It's fun. It's not a fucking authority on the to the end of the world. First of all, so just chill the fuck out. Number two. It's like when people in America go, let's go get Chinese food. I love Chinese food. Okay, when you go get Chinese food, is that real authentic Chinese food? Or is it Chinese food that is made so Americans find it palatable and they love?
100% Americanized Chinese food. Because when I worked for a Chinese company, they spoke Chinese to the chefs and got the secret Chinese menu for their food.
Okay, there you go. See, that's actually a thing. Yeah.
Side tangent on that. Yeah, side tangent on that. So one of the girls I work with is from India, and we went to the quote unquote local Indian place, and she was like really excited to go because it was relayed to her that it was like authentic Indian food because like some Indian people own it. And when we got there and we were eating, she said, "This is an Indian food."
I know. I kind of saw where that was going. Oh man. But yeah, like that's kind of how I attribute to like the Game Awards. Like, is the indie category by its true definition of indie? Probably not. But it's the quote unquote indie games that maybe the average Joe Schmo gamer like, oh yeah, that's totally an indie game because it's a smaller game. It's a not AAA game and therefore must be indie. So like, is it offensive? No, they're just picking games that make the most sense, which kind of ties into Corey's explanation. I mean.
There needs to be.
I can agree with that, Stephanie, except for one thing. He said, where's the line at? Okay. Everyone has their own opinion about this, and we refer to our jury of 120 global media outlets who vote on these awards to make the determination of if something's independent or not. That's the line that actually he's getting all the daggers in the back from. Because when you look at some of these judges and stuff like that, these are outlets that no one runs to like USA Today to look at a game review.
No one runs to them. Force.
I mean, we're fucking gamers. So where we go? We go to
Okay.
the fucking IGNs. We go to Games Radar. We go to shit. We go to fucking Kotaku.
We go to bossrush.com.
Bot.net.
.net for all of our gaming news.
No, well, LeRon, it
Yeah.
actually kind of makes more sense then. I'm like, all right, well, if you're going to use judges from those sources, then what else are you going to expect? So just, I don't know. I'm not saying that we should be complacent, right? Like, it'd be cool if there was like a double A category and then an indie category to kind of like further tease it out. But it's like, all right, at least it makes sense.
There needs to be like that. There needs to be a name for indies that aren't indies, right?
See,
like the non-indie, right? I mean,
like
is it
indie is the name indie is what's screwing things over right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. That's what it is.
Indie to small dev.
Yeah, there needs to be like
that's perfect actually. That's perfect actually, because if you look at what's how they define
like Mint Rocket is a small developer that is backed by a $1 billion publisher in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's just I don't know. It just feels insane sometimes, you know. And you know, like people have been railing on the Game Award. How long the Game Awards been around now? 12 years now.
10.
10.
Okay, people have been railing on the Game Awards since year one. And you know, I watched the first Game Awards. It was not good, you know. But at the same time, I drunk the Kool-Aid that Jeff Keighley was giving us by saying that it's a show, it's a game, it's an award show for games, for the gamers. I drunk that Kool-Aid, and you know what? The sad part is, like, you know, I'm taking it literally, you know, 10 years later now, you know, for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system. Wait, I feel like that changed. I feel like that did they go back and retcon that description? Because I don't think that's what we said 2 weeks ago when we talked about it. That can't be the.
No, I mean, I think it's still the traditional publisher.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a crazy person there. But you know, Dave the Diver definitely is worthy of nomination for an award and stuff like that. But you know what? When you have a $1.5 billion publisher behind it, that immediately moves in outside independent. You know, it looks like an indie. It looks like an indie game. You know, and you know, it looks like an indie game, but just because it looks like an indie game doesn't mean it's indie. Because like when we have games like I think Dead Cells is the first independent game I took notice of. Dead Cells, you know, it looks like it's a freaking, like, you know, play on Symphony of the Night and stuff like that. You know,
the thing though, that's backed by Team 17. That is a multi-million-dollar publisher.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know who.
This is where my thing's coming from. Like, if you want to say indie developers are games being, you know, outside of publishers such as the 1.5 billion Nexon, you know, you got to look at games that are being developed by Annapurna, games that are being developed by Focus Entertainment.
I agree.
All these guys are multi-million-dollar publishers.
Wait,
That's why the smaller development teams are going to them.
Wait, does the publisher throw the money out, or does the publisher just make sure it gets distributed?
The publisher usually funds the game. There are like other special publishers, like when we had Some Humble Onion on, right? Like that game had a publisher, but it was more of a distribution thing than a funding thing. So there are publishers like that, which I would still consider those mostly independent games, I would assume. But people like Team 17 and Annapurna, like publishers like that, totally help fund these games, right? Maybe not the whole game, but like, because obviously I think some of these games they develop and then they pitch it to these publishers and then they fund the rest of the game, right? Like that's how.
Yeah, I think that's how a lot of it goes.
Like I think Bloodstained is a good example. Remember, it was kickstarted and that game was like partway through development, and then they, you know, it got so much traction that who published that?
Was it Inti? I think it's Inti.
Inti Creates created the actually developed and published the 8-bit games or whatever, but the main game, like maybe that was I don't remember who published it, but that took over funding of that game. And obviously the Kickstarter backers still got their rewards and everything, but the rest of that game was totally funded.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because maybe the problem why gamers and I'm just gonna Stoy is basically resonating every time I say the word gamers.
Gamers.
Hey gamers.
That G word.
Gamers.
Could it be that just the landscape of gaming has changed to the point where I guess gamers are inflexible? Because we look at certain things. There's hard ins that are hard outs. Like look at the fights that were had last year over best family game, and it was all fucking Nintendo games except for It Takes Two. And when you broke down a lot of those Nintendo games that are in that category, they weren't really family games. They're actually more like party games, or a party game and one RPG. That drove me nuts.
Mm-hmm. I also think that a lot of it has to do too is the term indie is a really great marketing term right now, and that's also why it's thrown around. So. Just like when Microsoft, when they were pitching the initiative to get people to come work there, they called it a quadruple A studio. I'm like, that doesn't exist, guys. Come on. Quadruple A. What are you going to fund a $500 million game? The only quadruple A game out there, in my opinion, would be something like Grand Theft Auto, like the next Grand Theft Auto, because they spend almost $1 billion developing this game and the online service and stuff. But even then, it's that's just the most AAA you can possibly get. So all these terms, man, get them out of here. There needs to be a Bible of what genres are defined as, what types of games like AAA, AA, indie, single A, B tier, whatever.
It needs to be evolving though too.
Well, let's break down something real quickly based off of Jeff Keighley's quotes, and then we can move off this topic. The first thing he says, indie can mean different things to different people. Is that true or false?
I say it's true based on our conversation, because some people saw it as the scale, and other people see it as the style.
Yeah, I mean nobody called Pentiment an indie game, and that's clearly an indie-inspired style game, but Microsoft published it. So.
Backed by Microsoft.
That, and here's my nerdy self again. In the medical field, there are nationally recognized guidelines. There are governing bodies, authorities that actually clearly define things. In the video game industry, do we technically have that? Because I feel like it's the wild freaking West, technically, when it comes to
gamers who define it, right?
Gamers are fickle. They're so that's why I feel like currently indies mean different things to different people, because there really is no official governing body of gaming that has established a formal definition of things.
Okay, so does independent mean the budget of the game? This is also another one of his quotes.
I mean, no. No.
Independent means it should be completely independent from any outside influence. So really,
okay. I'm glad you said that.
Publisher is the exact same person.
I'm glad you said that, because his next part of that quote was, "Does independent mean where the source of financing was?"
I think that's a big part of it. Because back when indies were indies, they were being managed by the actual developers. Like Fez, one person. Hollow Knight.
And by the way, thank you gamers for running that guy out of the industry.
He was crazy.
Wait, who are we running?
That's another part of it.
Sorry, I missed that first part. Who did we run out of the industry?
The guy that created Fez.
Oh, yeah. Phil Fish.
Yeah. No, so
all right. So does independent mean team size?
You see, now here's where it gets.
Yes.
We're gonna have to possibly go with yes, because you could say that LeRon Studios would at Baldur's Gate 3 would have then been independent, because they are developer and publisher.
I would say Larian's independent.
Yeah.
Although
But
I don't
then
know if I
you
would call
also now have
Baldur's
to
Gate.
question, is Mario and Zelda independent because of that? Because they're independent from complete, like,
Well,
well, I actually go
they
public companies may not
Nintendo would
be.
like a word.
I would say, I mean, Nintendo has like we don't know their studio names aren't quote unquote household names like Naughty Dog or Sucker Punch or any of the Sony or Microsoft studios, but they still
True.
have like internal teams like Nintendo EAD and Nintendo R&D and studios like that, where Retro Studios, right, I think is probably the most well-known Nintendo studio. uh
Yeah.
they still have studios that they own. Nintendo isn't developing these games, it's their internal studios that are developing them, right? I would argue. I mean, they're all still part of Nintendo, yes, I get it, but like,
Yeah.
you know
And if someone wanted to counter argue that, you just say, well, Nintendo has shareholders. They're the
yeah.
ones who are financing it. So
Mm-hmm.
is Nintendo independent? No.
It's funny. I clung to what you said, Pat. For me, when it comes to the essence of what independent means, is whether or not the creator, the devs, have
Mhm.
outside influence. Which therefore, any answer like, does it need to self-publish, or does it matter the size, or does it matter the financing? I want to say all of them actually. It depends, as whether or not those factors influence the initial creators. For example, I am an author. I did not self-publish. I have a publisher, but my publisher gives me 100% free reign of my creative content. Does that mean because I have a publisher representing me, I'm not an indie? Or am I indie because it's my publisher's not a famous publisher and they're not telling me how to edit my book? So I think all of those factors could be a yes, could be a no, depending on ultimately, are the developers, the creators, left to their own devices? Just food for thought.
Okay, so yeah, are they being driven by others' whims, or is the idea truly theirs?
Hmm.
I feel like when we call it an independent studio, like it usually means one, that they're completely independent, like they basically call the shots for how their game is. And yeah, I mean there can be an argument about Kickstarters, but like most times Kickstarters, the people who are basically like like helping the Kickstarter, they still can't tell the guys how to build their game. They still can't
Exactly.
do that.
They get the stretch goals, is where the guy's like, well, I'll add this and this to the game, but that's
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
discretion.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um uh but number two, I think where I consider it independent is that they may have a publisher like Annapurna, for example, whatnot. They may have a publisher, but at the same time, these are studios that are basically going to be one and dones. Like a lot of times these independent studios are looking to see if they can get picked up by by AAA. They're looking for a job, and they're looking for a job by creating a job for themselves. And that's where I think the magic of like the independent spirit comes from and stuff like that. It's the reason why like somebody works for like a Fortune 500 company, and then they break off and do their own thing, based off the experience and things they have. They might not be competing with with what they just left, but they basically break off on their own, and they're using the chops they learned in the business, and they're doing something wholly on their own,
Yeah.
outside of the structure,
So,
per se.
yeah, so maybe in conclusion, can we look back at Dave the Diver? I guess, is Dave the Diver an independent game? Did the team Mint Rocket, is that fully their property? Like, did they come up with the idea? Is that everything that they wanted in the game and not been influenced from Nexon or whatever their publisher is? If it is, then you know what? Maybe they are in fact an independent game.
And by the way, like I know I'm talking harshly about this independent subject. This is no shade to Dave the Diver, because like I said, like
Mhm.
I finally took a good look at it, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
holy shit, I want this game.
Yeah, no.
I
Dave the
just
Diver is obviously the the black sheep of this one because it has the $1.5 billion
dollar
publisher
backer,
behind
yeah.
it. So that's the one that people are automatically pointing to and is like, no, that's not it.
Oh, and by the way, kudos to Nexon for like looking at this and seeing like, oh shit, we want our name on this. Kudos to them.
I don't even see Nexon I don't even notice Nexon's logo. The thing I see is the Mint Rocket logo when the game boots up.
I mean, I guarantee you when the game rolls credits though and stuff like that, you see like
Yeah,
Nexon
you
stuff.
probably see
in
Nexon,
it, you know?
but it's not like a Nexon game. Dave the Diver.
Huh.
I feel like
you know
it's
what? I'm not gonna pick apart any more Keeley's stuff. But it is funny that because you were mentioning Baldur's Gate 3, one of his quotes is some people have said Larian with Baldur's Gate 3, that's an independent game. Kojima Productions with Death Stranding. Some are saying that's an independent game.
Death Stranding was published by Sony on PlayStation and 505 on PC. That's
that had Sony money on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, okay. You know what? Again, going back to the conversation, did they have a say in what Kojima did with the game?
No, they didn't.
No, but they still funded it.
Well, yeah, but we came to the conclusion, though, it doesn't matter whose funding is, whether or not the funds directly affect what.
I think there's an ulterior motive behind how Sony gave Kojima like the completely hands-off experience. I believe the ulterior motive was we're gonna buy this guy out.
I'm
believe
sure
that's what it was.
I'm sure there is an ulterior motive, but like now that we all get to it's like, how is it any different from a Kickstarter campaign where they got a lot of financial backing and it's an indie gamer versus a developer that is a publisher that financially backed them up, but they did not influence or tell them how to make the game? How is that any different?
So we will distribute the game and we will market the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we need to get rid of the term indie and just go with like small dev, large dev.
Yeah. I mean, there needs to be a better word for that, though. I think that's why we use the term indie is because there's no better word.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest.
No, there's a...
Are you going to say single A game?
No. Independent. I'm trying to get something around the word independent, but you know, I don't know. Like my brain's turning to mush. Like thinking about this now.
Go with developer. That way, it could be like, hey, does this team
But
have
they have
30 or more core or 30 or less core people? If it's yes, then a small development game. That way, it doesn't have to.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing now. Like I can see the team for Dave the Diver being in the best independent studio category. I can see that. Why? Because, you know, like is it their first game?
Mint Rocket? No, I think they did Maple Story.
Okay.
I think this is by the team that did Maple Story. Mint Rocket.
I'm sorry. I would look it up. I'm sorry.
Division of Nexon announced. You know what? This is their first game.
Okay.
It was originally announced in May, or was originally established in May 3rd, 2022.
Well, maybe we should revisit this conversation at some point.
Do we have any questions?
No.
for the show.
No
questions.
No.
So
I mean, we've been going for almost 2 hours. So
yeah, that's true. So should Jeff Keighley be a disliked person?
No. I don't think so.
Jeff Keighley.
I think it's the cool thing to hate Jeff Keighley.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been a part of that group back in the day, you know, because it's just.
I feel like I'm still a part of that group, even though I respect his game. I do.
Yeah, and my closing thought is that I think Jeff Keighley has done a lot of good things for the industry and at least trying to make it recognizable and fun from a presentation standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a little weird sometimes? Sure, but I mean, at this point, who isn't?
That's okay.
Right?
That's okay.
Also, I don't watch the Game Awards for the awards. I watch for the announcements because I could give two shits about the awards.
So you're gonna be on pins and needles now because you want to hear world premiere.
I don't care.
You know what's funny is we're giving shit, or people are giving shit about the Game Awards nominating it for Best Independent Game. They didn't say shit when the Golden Joystick Awards nominated it for a Best Indie Game either.
It's because nobody cares about the Golden Joysticks. They nominated Alan Wake before it even came out, so who fucking cares?
Which by the way, I really hate the fact that I heard that Alan Wake didn't hit in the top 150 of game sales.
Mm-mm.
Really?
It didn't chart on NPD either.
Yeah, it did not chart, and the reason why is because it's attached to the Epic Game Store as an exclusive, and nobody uses the Epic Game Store. I mean, it's really niche. Like, I don't have it yet because it's on the Epic Game Store. I'm waiting for the Steam release.
But it also didn't chart on the Xbox or PlayStation individual lists either that they put out.
Interesting. I wonder why. It's a great game.
There's a problem.
It's a niche game. I'm telling you, anybody outside of the video game world, it's a niche game.
The nichiest of niche games chart sometimes, though.
Sometimes, yeah.
But this is a sequel.
Maybe more people didn't like Alan Wake 1 than anybody remembered.
You also have to look at the timetable when it came out. I mean, it came out literally the week after Spider-Man and Mario.
And Call of Duty came out the week after.
Oh, and we all see how Call of Duty's doing.
Yeah, it's
people are still going to buy it because it's
Call of Dookie.
Ooh.
Also, Hogwarts Legacy is charted again because it came out on Switch, which, by the way, I played the Switch version. It's not terrible.
Okay.
But I wouldn't recommend, if you have anything else to play it on, I would not recommend the Switch version. Or, if you want to play it on the go, maybe like a Steam Deck or something. But it was not unplayable. I will say that. Not
unplayable, but not ideal.
Right. Also, it's really weird because the world is segmented. It's not an open world. The map is the same, but when you leave the castle, it loads into the open world, and then when you get to Hogsmeade, it loads into Hogsmeade, and then when you go into a building, it loads into a building. Also, the textures in the castle look really bad, but anyways, we'll save that for another time. We need to record after dark. Well, we did it, I think, if Zencaster lasted. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to this episode of the Boss Rush Podcast. You can find it every Monday on your podcast service of choice. Go to our Patreon if you want to support us and get other perks and early access to shows and all that kind of stuff. Vote on our book club. If there's a game you want us to play, go vote. If you are at the $5 tier, you'll also be able to contribute to other things as well. So go there, check it out. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Yeah, guys, thank you for your time tonight. LeRon is raising his hand. Yes, LeRon.
Can I just add to our audience, hey, if you like the show, definitely give the thumbs up. If you dislike the show, go ahead and give the thumbs down, but also leave a comment as to why you don't like the show so we can make some changes and make you happy.
Please don't leave any comments. They're all bad. Just kidding. Leave them. Be excited. Participate.
See, now Corey's going to get hate train in the comments.
You might even get Phil Spencer to comment back.
Corey's going to get that dude lost all this weight and now he's an asshole.
I've always been an asshole, LeRon. That's the secret.
Hey, the audience is saying it. I didn't say it.
That's fair. It's how my brain works. I can't help it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching and or listening. Until next time, we love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
So long.
Farewell. If you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/BossRushMedia, and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support.